All right. What is going on, everybody? Needs more drums in a new game and a new series. We're going to play City Skylines because I love this game so much, and I've always wanted to do a City Skylines series, and I thought with the release of the new DLC, the Plazas and Promenades, this would be a perfect time to jump into something new. You know, everything's getting updated, a lot of the mods are getting updated, and yeah, this is just a perfect time. So in this video, before we jump in here, just want to give a little background. This is the Costa Azzurra map made by Teddy Radko. Beautiful map, and what's nice about it is that it is 100% vanilla, and you can fit the whole city, all of the playable area here, within 9 tiles. So while I am going to use some mods, I think it will be a cool challenge to kind of stay away from 81 tiles, at least for the time being, and try to fill up, you know, what we can with just natural progression and just buying up more land and seeing, you know, how we can build along this coast. So my goal for this video is just to take 30 minutes in real time, no time lapses or anything in this video. Plus I still got to figure out how to do those. This is very new for me, but at least in this video, I thought maybe we could take 30 minutes to see how to get a city started, kind of the things that I think about when I start a city. And I know, you know, I don't have a lot of, you know, any other content up for City Skylines, so I'm not as, may not be as credible as some of the other builders out there, but I figure at least, you know, we can start this together. And I like to think that I kind of think through the way that I plan cities. So maybe you'll learn, you know, some helpful tips or something, or maybe consider something that you haven't considered before when starting a city. So with that being the case, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so as we can see here, here's our starting tile. And what's nice about the starting tile is that you have 2 good road connections. So a good thing about starting a city is that you always want to have more than one way into the city. And so the first thing that I like to think about when I start a city, and yeah, I got the game on pause here. Well, we kind of talked through this, but the first thing that I like to think about when I start a city is not, a lot of people just will probably come in and just start plopping down houses and getting people to move in and not really thinking about anything else. But the first thing that I like to think of is infrastructure and city services, especially industry. I like to think of my industry, where my industry is going to go before I even start putting down residential zones, mainly because industry draws in tons of traffic, and it's really easy to kind of, if you screw up where you place your industry, it could really create a lot of traffic issues, and then you have trouble expanding because your industry is in a kind of a weird place, and you know, it doesn't always make sense. So obviously this map does a nice job about kind of giving us a little port area over here, but we don't have this land yet. And obviously this is probably where, you know, I'm gonna end up putting my port, because there's already rail access in this nice little terraform land, and I don't really feel like changing the land too much, because that's a little bit, you know, unrealistic. But then again, this is also a little bit unrealistic having a port area all set up for us, but whatever. Yeah, so where I actually want to put my industry, I actually want to start all my city services on this I guess we'll call it the east side of the river here. So yeah, so let's start by putting down some roads. And as you'll notice, I do, well, like I said, I do have mods like road anarchy and prop and tree anarchy, etc. I do not have unlimited money. I do like to play with money. I think part of the fun of this game is kind of getting over that initial hurdle of putting down all your infrastructure with a limited amount of funds, because it's easy to just put down some massive power plant and some massive, you know, landfill, garbage area, whatever, and you know, a huge water treatment center, and never have to worry about it again. But I like kind of starting small and trying to expand as the city grows. And so yeah, so in terms of roads, and I do have a lot of assets. In terms of roads, I have a lot less than I usually do, mainly because I'm curious to see what the new ones that came with this new DLC, what new ones they included. And I know that the roads that I use, I typically use the vanilla plus road mod or assets or whatever, and they come with a lot of ones that they seem to have kind of recreated those in the new DLC. So anyway, that being said, let's start by putting down a few roads here. So first, we are going to, I'm trying to think here. So yeah, this is kind of where I want to put my industry, and this land sort of lends us kind of a cool spot. I'd like to sort of follow this tree line here, just because it kind of looks pretty good. And again, we don't want to get too carried away here right when we start with you know, blowing through a bunch of money. So it is kind of a good idea to even use dirt roads when possible. And also we could sort of make another, with this road going through here, we can actually make kind of another connection maybe up here somewhere. So this gives us a good opportunity to get a nice little industrial area set up pretty early in the game. There we go. So yeah, so from here we can start to put, you know, plan out some of our city services and such. And then this little tree lined area will give us a nice scenic entrance into the, even though it's an industrial part of the city, but nonetheless, it'll give us a nice little entryway into this part. So now what I would like to do is build a, first thing is, first here is we need electricity and we need some water. So for electricity, I know the easy thing is to just put down a few wind turbines. You know, obviously people love to do that, but I'd like to do something a little different. I'd like to just right off the bat, just start using the coal power plant. And sometimes I like to download another asset or two, but in this case, I do not have that. So we're gonna put down one of these bad boys over here somewhere. How about, I like to keep these kind of farther away from the rest of the city, but yeah, maybe like right here. This would be good. Kind of put it right up by these railroad tracks here. And then later, if we detail it up a little bit, we can give it some rail access, and it'll look a little bit more realistic. That off. Yeah. So the thing about these coal power plants, obviously, is they pollute like freaking crazy, but that's kind of something that just gotta deal with. It's all right. We're trying to save. You know, we're balling on a budget here, so it is what it is. Too bad. And let's kind of drag these. I always like to drag these out either parallel to, you know, a rail line or a road or something. It kind of makes it look real nice. I am a huge fan of making my cities look good, but also being functional. So that's like, you know, I feel like if with different city skylines builders, some people like, you know, $2.20, for example. If you haven't seen his videos, check them out. They're awesome. But, you know, his style, he likes to build, his priority is aesthetics and looks first and functionality second. Whereas I am kind of the opposite. I like to do functionality first, looks and aesthetics second, but, you know, keeping it realistic. So for water, I have a couple of assets that I like to use just because I don't like these big pumps. And, you know, I never used the sewage discharge really ever, especially now that they've included these water treatment facilities. These are much more realistic, at least where I live in, you know, around Chicago. We don't just dump, or I like to think that we don't just dump our raw sewage into Lake Michigan, but you never know. Maybe they do, and I just don't know. But either way, we'll set up the water facilities kind of by the coast here, because this is, you know, it's a reasonable place of where they would probably go. So yeah, so let's kind of drag out a road to down here. Move It is a must-have mod for this game. I don't care what anybody says. It is the single greatest mod, I think, that you can get, because it just revolutionizes the way that you plan things, especially if you're like me and like things to look good. It is absolutely a must-have. So, all right, now we can put down our treatment facility here, and let's see. So there's that. Our water pipes. I do like to keep the pipes under the roads as much as I can, just because, you know, that's kind of a realistic thing. All right, so there's that. And now for a water source, I like to use these pumping stations. I believe these are by Avanya. These are very, very good in they work like a water tower, so you don't want to put them anywhere near pollution. So I like to put these. I'll put this probably more. Actually, wherever I'm going to put my residential areas, which is probably going to be over here somewhere. So I'm actually going to put this kind of up in the corner of this map, which is why I'm going to drag out my pipes here. And I figure, you know, for now, this is kind of going to be where the city center is going to sit right now, and kind of build it off out to this river. And then maybe up here, it'll start to get into a little more suburbs and maybe some farming kind of up into this valley, farming or forestry. We'll think of an industry to start with later, but yeah, so for right now, we're just going to put down, usually, sometimes I like to use dirt roads actually sometimes because they save money, and saving money is always a good thing, especially this early in the game. City limits, okay. So yeah, we'll start right now. We'll just put I'm trying to think of where put it, like right here. Yeah, I guess so. That's fine. Put it perpendicular to the road. And we'll start. We don't need the large one, but the medium one is actually probably going to be a good idea. Yeah, that way we won't have to upgrade it as much later. So let's do that. All right. Now we have our water and our power. And our power is going to come over, and we'll find a nice little spot for it here. And another thing too about power, one thing that I do actually really like that I have are these little electrical boxes, these little transformers. So what these do is they'll link, they'll serve as sort of like a connector for your power grid. So I'll show you what I mean probably in a second. But basically, if you could drag your power lines, and then if they don't reach, you could actually throw a transformer down, and it'll create one of these blue electrified areas that'll connect your power lines up to wherever is whatever's close by. So the server is a great thing for stuff like that. And I also like to use regular power lines because I think they look realistic, and you know, typically you'll find power lines along roads, and so that's kind of what I'm going to do now. And this will actually be a great opportunity to show you how these transformers work, because I'm probably going to put one down here in a second. Yeah, these things are awesome. They give a nice little realistic touch to your city, having power lines. And see, so if I want to connect this to this power grid here, I can simply plop down one of these transformers, and there we go. Now my power grid will be all connected up. So we've blown through tons of cash already, and oh well, part of starting a city is what it is. So now we can actually start putting down some zones and pressing play in a minute. Yeah, so we are absolutely broke, but that's cool. You know, it's all right. So we're starting off here. Is what it is. So I would like to start kind of building my city out here with some kind of some commercial zones maybe along the road here. And I think what I like too about this starting road is it will lend itself maybe to some interesting shapes in our grid. And you know, grids are super efficient, and that's why there's so many of them, but they look really boring. And so what I like to try to do is have a grid system, but kind of vary it up depending on the space that I'm working in the city. And so, you know, instead of having, you know, I can have the grid follow one of these roads, and whichever road I have it follow, it'll create some interesting shapes, you know, kind of along the other road. So I actually am thinking we're gonna have it follow. Yeah, we'll have it follow this road here, just because it's kind of the main road, and this probably would have cut through it. Yeah, so we're gonna build our grid off of this road here. I think what we'll give ourselves a couple blocks for some commercial zones. Do it right off of here. Perfect. So start with some area for a little commercial zone. Yep, that's good. And then for residential zoning, our actually going to start with these dirt roads here just because they are cheap and we can make some good use of these. City blocks, you don't really need to use the road markers here, but I like to because it keeps it walkable. And having a walkable city is very, very important, especially in eliminating some traffic. So, very good idea. And as a good practice too, I have traffic precedent mod, which is absolutely awesome. But we don't need these stoplights right now because the city is so small. All right, so now another mod that I absolutely love is this zoning adjuster mod. So what you can do with this is one of the big flaws in the game is having your all your houses and your zones facing, you know, all kinds of different directions. So what you can do with the zoning adjuster mod is sort of choose which roads zoning is allowed on. And so if I only want zoning on these roads here, so the buildings will only face that way, I can do that. And so it helps with a much more realistic look. And same with these. So I don't want buildings facing sort of like east to west. I want them facing north to south. And this mod will help me do that. So yeah, so now that it takes a little bit, you know, kind of a little extra step, but it definitely helps make everything look really good later on. Yeah, that probably just needs an update. All good. Things happen. But this is good enough to start putting down some zones anyway. And the reason I wanted to use that mod is so that I can get rid of some of these trees here. Because I will put down my own trees later, and we don't need the vanilla trees at the moment. We can get rid of some of these, and we will add our own when the time comes. But yeah, so there we got some commercial zone ready to go, and then we can put some residential here and here. Maybe a little bit more commercial here. And we'll expand out our residential zone kind of all the way up into here and kind of keep our commercial along this main road. So we're ready to press play, start watching some people move in. And as we're doing that, I want to continue to expand the residential zone. One thing that I am actually very excited about is, as you can see, I got this new mid-century modern pack by, I forget who, is it Revo, I believe, created these? But yeah, so they got these cool little modern houses, and my goal for this city is kind of to make it more of a modern city with some kind of, a little bit of, you know, American influence, a little bit of European influence, but yeah, this pack is really cool. It provides, I think, 160 new assets or new buildings, mainly residential, but also some commercial to kind of give that old 60s vibe, you know, in your cities, or a little retro type of vibe. I love it. I'm super excited to use it. And another thing is the building themes mod finally got updated. So being able to, yeah, and this is another case where I might plop down. Actually, you can kind of drag some power lines along here. Wrong way. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Yes, now we have some power lines running through there, and power lines always give your city a cool, much more realistic look too. So now we finally have power, and people can finally start moving in. So we're on our way to our first little achievement here. I think it's like, what, 220? Oh yeah, we're very close. Okay, perfect. Let's see what this is going on. I know we're not making much money, and so the budget panel here is very, very important. I can basically turn everything down because we don't need any of this. We're just blowing through cash for no reason. Road maintenance, we have like no roads. Power, we need no power. And there we go. We reached our first milestone already. Perfect. So the next, and it comes with a nice little cash prize for us. So the next thing that I'd like to prioritize is garbage. People start complaining about garbage very, very quickly. And so this is one of those things where we need to, oh, I didn't even realize I don't have power to my what do you call it over there? My treatment center. Need that. Definitely need it. Very, very important. All right, there we go. Now all of our city services should be working just fine. And we can put down some zone a little bit more first, and then we'll deal with garbage collection, because garbage collection is one of those things that people start complaining about really early on in the game, or early on in your city. So it's really important to kind of knock that out as soon as possible to avoid people being super annoying about it, which, trust me, they will be. So it's kind of building out the grid here, and I think this will be a cool spot. You know, the rivers are awesome because they could provide transportation, and I don't know if this river is really big enough to run, you know, ferries and stuff, and we'll see when we get there if we even need them. But at the very least, they provide a nice little backdrop for some parks or some waterfront real estate. So what I like to do typically is, you know, leave some room next to the river for like a little park or maybe a little bike trail. Just kind of, you know, some forward thinking about where we're gonna put, where we want sort of the centerpieces of the city to be. And so here again, just gonna put down some more of these, some more residential, because people moving in is very important. And actually, that's the wrong button. We're gonna put some things on the side, on this side as well, facing this way, to kind of break the grid up a little bit. And so here we're starting to get into sort of some like an awkward shape right here. And so what I like with spaces like this, these are really good for things like parks or schools, etc. So I think actually what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of stuff on this side, except for, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Put down some more residential here, put down some commercial here, but then we're actually going to leave this space open. We'll put our first school maybe over there, and that way we can put another one up here when the city expands, but at least this whole area will be very educated. And now I just realized that we haven't put down any industrial zone yet. So I'm going to do that now because that is super important. And yeah, like I said, I want to keep the industry kind of by this, in this area and on this side of the river, because this will be, it has two great connection points for truck traffic. So these, I'm actually going to put down the roads because I don't like having dirt roads for industry. I think it's kind of, you know, trash. But yeah, so for these, we'll go here. I'm not going to connect that up there. I'm actually going to I'll bring it around this way maybe. Yeah, that'll be cool. Again, I wish I had that forest brush. I think sometimes that's one of those mods that you just need to unsubscribe and resubscribe to, and it gets fixed. But for now, we're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and bulldoze all the trees by hand, which is fine by me. Could be worse. Yeah, so we'll connect that up in a minute. And another little trick that I like to do with my industrial zones, what I find is it looks really realistic if you make sort of, you know, the build, like in real life, industrial buildings aren't side to side or, you know, or wall to wall, so to speak. at least by me, you know, when you look at an industrial zone, it's sort of big open complexes. So what I kind of like to try to do is emulate that in the game by making zoning out parts of an area and then filling it in with surface painter or adding some fences, you know, making it look like a kind of a concrete paradise, so to speak. But it helps kind of achieve that, the look of these bigger complexes rather than all these like tiny individual buildings crammed together. And I think if you look, you know, on Google Earth or something, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It definitely helps, in my opinion, in making your industrial zone look way more realistic. So now I can already see like a road like this, you know, I'm probably going to want to connect it up all the way to here, as this will sort of be like another main road. So in order to not blow through too much money too quickly, I'm going to leave it just like that for now. But that'll serve as a nice gateway into that other part of our city over there. And also just kind of mixing it up with some different sized buildings just to get some you know, variety going on. And I am excited to unlock landscaping because I'm gonna you know, change a few of these things, but that's coming up soon. And yeah, so like I said, I could use surface painter now that we have this industrial zone kind of starting to develop. Just use surface painter to make this sort of a one big complex. And then, you know, go back once we unlock our landscaping and everything, I can go back and kind of add some fences and everything, and it'll look really cool. You know, put some props like some trailers and stuff, and kind of flatten out this land, make it look a little bit better. So yeah, so we still need some more industrial zone, and I'm hoping that we can. I'm almost getting to my 30 minutes here, so I'm hoping that we could make a profit by then, and it looks like we're actually on our way to do that, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, and so these guys will just have a nice little connection. That's close we're gonna get. Cool. And get rid of these super huge trees. Don't need those. Don't need these stoplights either. Get rid of these for now. Yeah. Oh, this will drag out that way a little bit later. And look at that. We've made a profit. That is super exciting because, well, yeah, super exciting. Starting a new city, it's always good to make some money. So now we can kind of start to focus on more important things. Yeah, so there's our little industrial zone. We have a nice little residential development going on over here as well. And as people start to move in, the city is going to be expanding, and I'm really excited to start this this city. I've always wanted to do a City Skylines series, and with that being said, our 30 minutes is up. We have a very solid start to the city. In the next episode, maybe we'll do a little bit of a time-lapse build, but at the very least, we'll start getting some education, some other city services, such as maybe the healthcare, and starting to figure out where we're going to put our waste collection and or landfill. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am super excited to, you know, keep this going. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.